Scrappy friends. So I have a new layout for you today. I'm going to be using some gelatos. I love gelatos. They're one of my favorite things to do. And so I have three colors. I have a very light pink, and then I have a teal metallic color and a purple metallic color. And I'm just blending these with my finger. And this is primed with gesso. The gesso is already on there. And the background cardstock is Stampin' Up. And they're in color. So I just used a big wide brush and just added a little bit of water. What I'm really just trying to accomplish is to get a little bit of the streaks from the brush. So I'm using my paint brushes this time that I'm using are a thicker bristle. And I like to use a paintbrush because I like to see those bristle marks. Sometimes I like to use a spray too, but a lot of times I like to see that. And I am trying to get a little bit of drippage, but not a whole lot. I don't want it too bad. So, and some of it obviously is going to be covered up by my picture and stuff anyway. But, and I'm using my heat gun to dry it because I'm impatient. You definitely could let this air dry, and it would work out fine too. And if you guys can hear noise in the background, that is just my dog. He is very playful tonight. Apparently we didn't go for a long enough walk. So I believe I'm done with the gesso or the gelatos and stuff. I just did a little bit. I was not trying to overdo it. I wanted it to have a very, very soft look. And actually, if I had had it, which I don't, clear gesso would have worked really nicely on this. I think the white sometimes from the gesso on a colored cardstock can be a little overpowering. Now, the other alternative could have been to use a different color cards, like a white color cardstock, which that would have looked nice, but I really wanted to use some of my colored cardstocks. I have a ton, and I haven't been using them as often. I've been using a lot of white, but I really want to use up some of my stash too. So I'm looking through my Scraptastic kits I have in that box, I had November and October together, sort of. Like they're separated, but I just put them together. And I really like that background that has the triangles on them, and I'm not sure what company that was. I'm sure I have it written down. And I really liked that light one. And I wanted it light because with the gelatos being very light, I knew that would I didn't write any of this down. Wow. I was completely unorganized, guys. I usually write down what I use on my layouts so that when I do my voiceovers, I can tell you exactly. So I'm not really sure who did that paper. So I really wanted it light because I didn't want to overpower everything. And the background of this picture, which is all three of my children together, and this is a professional picture that we had taken. And I used that purple pigment ink, and that is just like a Walmart brand. It's cheap. Actually, the ink is really starting to dry up. There wasn't a lot of ink, but because it was really light, it works really well for like edging. So here I'm looking through a whole bunch of different embellishments, and I'm just looking for little things. I really want to keep this simple, which is hard because I like to layer things. And having a lot of layers and having a lot of stuff is, it's all your personal preference. I mean, it's like where one person really likes to use a lot of paper, some people don't, and I find that they're all beautiful in their own way, but sometimes I try to step out of my comfort zone or try to change up the way I'm doing something. Because I do like to use a lot of layers, I really want to try to use restraint sometimes, and I find that that helps challenge me and helps keep me learning. I mean, I just started scrapping this year. So obviously, I've learned so much this year, and I can't believe how much when I look back at my first few layouts to what I'm looking at, what I'm doing now. I can't believe the difference and the change and how much I've grown and how much I've really found my style. Um, and so yeah. But I really try to do different things to switch it up and to keep learning and to keep growing. And I mean, and some people that doesn't work very well. Some people have to stick with it. And I think in scrapbooking, there are really no wrong way to do things. If you like to do it a certain way and you don't like to change, don't. There's nothing to say that you can't. And I think that's the great thing about scrapbooking and about like the scrapbooking community is that we all can do something a little different, and that's what makes us us. So that's how you know when you look at that page, oh, that's who that person did. And I really enjoy that when you can look at a page and go, oh, I know who did that because that looks like her style. So as you could see, I used a little bit of gelato on that placemat, and that's by Jelly Bean Soup. And that is also was in the kit. I think most of this stuff was in the kit. There's maybe a few things that I added that weren't. And so I used just a little gelato on those just to mimic, except for I added pink instead of adding purple to it. And I'm adding some glossy accents on top. Now here's one thing I didn't think about is I should have waited to the very end. And I did use my heat gun a little, but I didn't want to overdo it because sometimes that heat is so hot that on certain things it kind of starts changing the color, and I didn't want to accidentally hit my photo too much and melt my photo at all, or that paper clip that I use, and that's I think from Lawn Fawn, Freckle Fawn maybe. And they're cute. They're just really hard to get off the package. That's the only thing I would say. They used a lot of like glue stuff. And as you can see, I put my hand in it. And I'm using some Maggie Holmes open book rub-ons, and I really like these rub-ons. They're really fun. So I use 3. I decide that that's kind of where I'm going to do 3 clusters around the photo just to kind of bring your eye around. And I don't always do the groups of 3 because sometimes that bores me. To do, to do exactly what the rules are. So, but that's just me personally. And so here I'm looking through and seeing what I have from my kit. And that was from November from the kit. And seeing what pieces. They have a lot of cut aparts, and then they had some Maggie Holmes tags. And I really like that black tag with the pink crepe paper on it. But I just couldn't make it work. Actually, I tried that a few times on a few different layouts and stuff after I did this one, and it took a long time for me to find out a place to use it because I really wanted to use it somewhere. But there is this cut apart that has an S, and here I know you didn't see me pick it out because I had a hard time getting the paper, it off the paper and everything. But that is from Basic Gray Spice Market. They're metal embellishments, and they're really, really fun. And I thought the color went really well with the tealy green color in the background. The only thing is I felt like it looked awkward down at that bottom in that cluster. And that's the only cluster that I think I had a really hard time situating to make it feel like it fit, because I put that happy there, and I didn't want to cover up a lot of the filled in triangles in that design on the paper. There was only a few that had colors in them. And so I really wanted to keep that open. And I'm so real quick, I'll tell you about this picture. In the springtime, we had a professional picture taken of the kids, and we wanted to have the whole family, but it ended up my husband had to work. And if many of you don't know, I know I have a lot of new subscribers, so thank you guys. On a side note, thank you all you guys who are new subscribers who are listening and watching. I so appreciate all the likes and the comments and the subscribers. Um, I really do share all this stuff because I know that you guys want to see it, and just like you, I like to watch YouTube videos too, so when I can, right? Okay, so if many of you don't know, my husband is in the military, and which is why we're in Hawaii. My husband was stationed here. And so the job that he has this year, or the here in Hawaii, is a very labor intensive job. So he can be gone for a long period of time as far as like during the day. So he used to have really long shifts. So and his shifts change like every few months. He would have his shift times would change. So when we made the appointment for him for this picture, it ended up being that he had to work and he couldn't get out of it. So and the the way his shifts were that he didn't always have the same days off. So sometimes he did and sometimes he didn't. So it ended up that he had to work, and yeah, he had to work, and so we couldn't all be in the picture. And so I decided to just have the kids because I didn't want to not get a picture taken because now that the kids are getting older, I really like the idea of having a professional picture because so far I don't have a really, really nice professional camera. I have a decent camera, but um, at some point I want, I'm going to save up and get a nicer one with the nice lenses and stuff, but for now I don't. So a picture like this just looks really, really nice. So, and it's really nice to give out to family when we can. So my kids were smiling so good in this picture. So I really wanted to scrap it because I want to be able to remember just how cute my kids are. No, they're cute all the time anyway, even the regular pictures that I take. So here I'm just putting some stars on. And those are cork stars, and those were from an old Scraptastic kit. And here I'm looking for some translucent sequins, and then I'm going to end up getting some other sequins. And I'm just really just want to add these to those embellishment clusters just to finish this off because I know that this is probably going to be the last bit of what I'm going to be doing. And those other sequins are Stampin' Up, and those are with the in colors. So I'm picking out the teal colored ones and the light and the pink and the darker pink. So there's two color pinks. And in each cluster I use a different color. So one cluster, the one that I'm working on now, has the teal, and then the one on the bottom has the light colored, and I switch up how many of the colored sequins compared to the translucent. So there's not like an even or an odd amount in the same amount. I wanted it to be different, just for a little bit of a difference. Even though I did use the same amount of stars in each cluster. Though the one cluster with the bigger, the stories cut apart has 3 small stars instead of a large, and 2 small because I didn't have any other large ones. And I didn't want to overpower with a lot of big things on that one because everything else is big in that cluster. So, and the last thing that I'm going to do is add some spray splatters, some spray inks. And I don't have a ton of spray inks, but my favorite is the Lindy's Stamp Gang. And the reason why I like it the the best is the ones that I have are the flat Fabios, and they look so much like watercolor, and I really like the way that they look with the gelatos too. So, and they blend really, really nice. Like if you get a pack, you can get some of them in packs, and they just the colors all work together so they don't get all muddled. Like I know the Delusion ones, like if I mix a Lindy's with like Mr. Huey's, they get muddled up. So here I'm just holding that down because it didn't want to stay. The glue dot that I used didn't want to stay on there. So I used some glossy accents. And here I'm just trying to decide, okay, do I want to add splatters? And I do. And then you're going to see some close-ups. And like I said, I wanted to keep it nice and simple with just a little bit of embellishment. So thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate all the comments that you guys may make and all the thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.